Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business psychology and marketing and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Michael Durant, who is the founder of Creating Genius Branding Agency and co-founder of Smith Durant Business Consulting. He has been coaching and consulting startups and companies for over 10 years, helping founders and owners build better businesses and brands that grow revenue. Founded multiple startups which were fully funded, and strives to inspire entrepreneurs and business owners to refine and release their genius. Michael, welcome, and let me know if I missed anything.
No, I think you hit it on the head. We've been doing this for a little while. Even before that, when I decided to get into the business of consulting and branding, I was marketing directors for different multiple companies. And it was one of those I call aha moments where it's just time to do it for myself. So I think you got it all.
Okay, super. Well, let's just start off and go there a little bit. I like to start with this question because it kind of takes people back, gives everybody a sense of where you came from so they can relate. If you could go back in time, if you had a time machine, you go back, you go to any point you want, and you could change one business or life decision. First of all, would you change it at all? And if you would change it, what would you change it to?
I don't think there's too many things I regret. There's a few startup moments. I have a lot of those. I would say there's a lot of moments that I don't regret. Even when I started my company and got into the entrepreneur side of things, I had worked for different companies and went through different mergers and lost everything, me and my family, 3 times. And I think the aha moment was for me is that third time when we literally had a lawn chair in the living room and we're trying to figure out what to do next. It was just like, I cannot depend on someone else to make my wealth, to give me freedom. And that was one of those moments that I would say that, I'm grateful that it happened that way, because I think if I'd have kept going, I'd have just been in the corporate world and just, working 70 hours a week and not really seeing my family.
Yeah,
so
no, I totally get that. I mean, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
And I'll say, I think the moment that I would say that I regret is, I remember when I had my first startup, and I was been in the media world for a while, and we opened up a magazine here, actually in Las Vegas. And we had everything that we needed, funding, the people. And I think the biggest mistake I would take back is people that I brought on with me, because I was going with people that was referred to me. I really didn't do background. So we went through a lot of burning, what I call burning of revenue, burning of not actual revenue, investment money. So I think I'll go back and really, because now in my business, I really focus on people. Even with the companies that I work with, because we help companies when they're trying to figure out their executive teams, who they're bringing on, how to hire.
Right.
People to me is one of the most important things.
Totally agree. Took me a while to get to that point, but I get that now. So in kind of that vein, if you went back in the time machine again, or you were going back before and you see something that happened that's super positive in your life or your business or both, and it's one of those things where you look back in your life and you remember everything that happened before that and everything that happened after that. It's kind of a dividing point, something that's super positive, a decision you made, something that you look back and you go, yeah, that was it. Do you have one of those that you could share?
I think that moment for me is, I think when we hit that last roadblock of losing everything. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table and, everyone, my family, my wife was like, you need to go get a job. I know you got this thing going on, but you need to
yeah.
And I was sitting there and, I really run everything that I do by faith. And I prayed and I just heard in my heart so clearly, like, I'm not listening to anybody. I'm not listening to in-laws. I'm not listening to friends. I'm not listening to my wife. I'm going to figure this out. and I'm not going to let anyone, because I wouldn't look for jobs. And just, at that time, it was weird with the economy. So I just kept getting these rejections, and I was doing everything for everyone else. And I just said, I'm
Right.
done listening to anyone else. I'm going to go and figure this out. And I called it, I started my company from a kitchen table. And right now it's so funny. I was back in Vegas because I go back and forth between Austin and Las Vegas. And my father-in-law has the table that I started the company with. And he was like, I really want to ship this to you because we saw where you started and
Uh-huh.
where you are now. And I was just like, it was at a kitchen table that I shut everybody out. And I said, I'm gonna get this done.
Yeah. Okay. Along those lines again, going through that kind of stuff, those are big decisions. I mean, and as an entrepreneur, we come across those all the time. What do you do when you come up to one of those big decisions and you get stuck? Do you have methods, techniques that you use to move through that decision to the other side, to get unstuck?
Yes. And it's funny, even making this move here to Texas, it was one of those, I say I do calculated risk taking now. I used to just dive off the cliff and say, let's go and do this, it's going to work.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I had a mentor, and he was a really good guy, Emmy Award-winning movie producer. He's worked for Max Headroom. He created the Max Headroom for
No
MTV.
kidding. I remember Max. I love
And he brought
Max.
Doctor Who to the U.S. He was from the U.K. And we would have coffee, and he would always say, Michael, if you're going to make some decisions and you're going to take some risks, make sure you anchor yourself in as you climb. So every time I'm getting into that position of I have to make a big decision, I'm trying to figure out where I'm anchored in, and if I take this risk,
Okay.
will I fall all the way back down to the bottom, or will I,
Yeah.
catch myself and be able to climb back up? So I will say I do a lot of planning. Everything that I do, I pretty much do in 90-day plans.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a while for me to get that way, but because of how I think and how I visualize things, if I don't know where I'm going, it's hard for me to push through. And I think most business owners, they have all these ideas, but they haven't drawn out the plan. And I used to, when I was getting out of high school, I wanted to be an architect, and I always loved that they would take something from nothing and make it into something that can be truly built. And you hire all the people, and you design this building. Now people are walking in it, but it was the blueprint. So in part of what we do blueprints we call them business blueprints and vision sessions, where we help business owners figure out the next moves. And I think that's the biggest issue with most business owners and entrepreneurs when they're trying to get to that next step and they're stuck. They don't plan out what has to happen in all the details. And I think some people need to be analytical, and I'm not an analytical person, but I just know how my mind works. And it's the way that I figure things out is like, what are all the pieces?
Mm-hmm.
So I know what moves to make and whether I can take this risk or not.
Okay. Well, I love the plan idea, especially the 90-day plan. I think that is awesome. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that, but the ones that have a plan that I have interviewed do a whole lot more, a whole lot better, a whole lot less expensive. And that they have an anchor, like you were talking about, of some kind. So I'm going to make sure I note that in the show notes. I'm going to have a time stamp on that.
And I'll just say this, a little secret to that 90-day plan that we figured out. So we only focus on 2 to 3 areas of focus, even when we're doing consulting. Because everyone say, I want to do this, I got more marketing, I want to hire new people. And I'm like, okay, once you say you want to hire someone, there's 19 different things that needs to happen just to be able to make sure that's done right. Not just hiring them, but what about your, if you have if you have health insurance, you have all these things you're doing for these employees. If it's not set up, especially with businesses that are growing, they don't have all the details. So only focus on 2 areas. And then everything that has to happen, you only break it out over those 90 days. Each week, it should only be 1 or 2 things you're focusing on, because those 1 or 2 things have 6 different things that have to happen for it So we always say choose 2 areas, maybe 3, but 2 is the most areas of focus. And that's how you walk out. And then the next quarter, you figure out the next 2 areas of focus. Because sometimes,
Yes.
you're trying to do so many things, and it's just, you got to run a business, handle clients, and you got to work on the business. You can't do it all at the same time.
No, that is awesome. And that reminds me, I got to tell this real quick story that I love. Back in the day when Ronald Reagan had just been elected, first term, and Tip ONeill, I don't know if you remember Tip, he was the Democratic Speaker of the House.
I heard the name.
Extremely powerful
Okay.
individual in the government. Reagan had come in. So you got these two big guys on either side. And Reagan goes to Tip and he asks him, he goes, give me one piece of advice to use in governing. And Tip looked at him, thought for a second, and said, never have more than 3 balls in the air at the same time. And I thought that, I mean, Tip didn't like Ronald. Tip did not like Ronald at all. But yeah, I mean, willing to help and all that. But the advice that he gave him is solid. And you just brought it up again. And it's something that I am so bad at, or not bad at. I'm guilty of getting off that. Oh, I can do 4. Oh, I can do 6 today. And it just takes me down a rabbit trail and I get lost and then I have to come back and start over. So excellent advice. I'm definitely going to mention that as well in the show notes.
And do you most people don't realize that even when you're planning, or if you over plan and you don't hit those goals, you're literally rewiring your brain to almost have micro failures to the point where you're not getting anything done. So, and I know for myself that I used to be that way. So I always look at micro wins. It just helps me keep pushing.
Yes,
because
that as well.
I'm having these little wins instead of trying to get all these wins. I finished my day, had 13 things to do. I only got 6 of them done, so I feel horrible. And now I go to bed thinking about, wow, why didn't
the
I
other
do all
things? Yes, and yeah. No, I love the micro win idea. I do that as well. I have a checklist, and it may sound silly, but whenever I complete something, is I put a little X by it. It's done. I got it done. Okay, now I can move on to the next one. And it's silly, but with everything, all the decisions and all the different tasks, it actually helps me focus. So I get the micro wins, and I love micro wins. So to kind of wrap up a little bit here, if you had to start over, which in a way you kind of are, I mean, you've moved from one state to another, you're in a different environment, or if you happen to be in the middle of a global pandemic, weird stuff happens and it disrupts your business to where you had to start over. Would you be doing the same thing you're doing now, or do you think you'd do something different?
Yes, I'll be doing the same exact thing.
Same exact thing. Okay.
Same exact thing. I don't believe in, I went down that road a long time ago of trying all these different things. I'm a creative person. And I found a passion. I feel like I'm a creative. I would say, how you got what is it for women, OBGYN, for birthing babies. I feel like that's my passion, my calling for entrepreneurs. If you have an imagination, you have a vision. I believe imagination is supposed to be a reality, and I think I was gifted with bringing people's imagination to reality. So I wouldn't be doing anything else besides this. And all I try to do now is continue to get better, because I'm always learning, always trying to learn new things, better my craft. Because I would say at my age, the younger generation, they're doing things that just at ease. I'm like, I don't really want to be on social media and do all these
Yes.
I don't really care about what people's lives are going on, but I realize in business, these things are important. So yeah, we had to go back and dial in, but I would definitely be doing this.
Excellent. Awesome. And super happy that you're doing something like that you have the passion for, because I find that, there are days I don't want to get up and go do what I'm doing. But if I have that passion, I like it. I love it. This is what I want to do. So super, really appreciate that. And really appreciate you being on the show and sharing. Want to wrap things up. So is there anything that you would like to close with? Anything that you'd like to mention or let the listeners and viewers know?
Well, if you go to our website, creatinggen.com, and you do the Let's Talk, we never push anyone to work with us. We love just talking to visionaries and owners. And
Mm-hmm.
we usually do a 30-minute vision session. And I'll always say, I'll give you more than you bargained for, because I want you to know that you can do this. So you can go to our website, do a Let's Talk. We never pressure anything. And I always say, if you're brave enough to, fill out that form, I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, your world will be opened up to some new things. And whether you work with us or not, I just believe people need to get some of the insight. And because there were people that helped me, that's why I never push pressure for business. I just focus on giving people what they need. And if they go there, that's what they're going to get. And they'll get to talk to me directly.
Excellent. Awesome. Really appreciate that. And we'll make sure that's in the show notes and the description where we happen to post the video so that people can get there. Again, Michael, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a very safe and productive week and be the very, very best at whatever it is that you're doing. Until next time, this is Tad Stevens with Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.